Well, good morning everybody. We've actually got a little bit of sunshine today, which for the past week we've had nothing but rain and wind. We've had some horrendous winds. As you can see, I've got my ladders on my pond just to make sure that the covers don't come up. The weather's been atrocious really, so I've not been able to do very much at all. I have got a project on that we're going to be working on, which I'll show you a little bit later. I will video it all so you can see what I'm doing. That'll be down the big shed, but apart from that everything else is fine. I think the fish are good. They're still eating a little bit. We're still above 8 degrees I think. We'll nip and have a look, see whether I can feed them today. We'll pop and have a look in the filter house at that, but everything's quite quiet in the pond world at the minute. Nothing to report really, but I thought I'd bring you a video just to keep you guys up to date on what I'm pottering about at. So we'll pop and have a look in the filter house, just see how everything's going in there. Okay, so here we are in the filter house itself. There's not a lot happened since the last time I spoke to you in here. I've not done much at all, to be honest, but everything's still purring away as it was. Nothing much has changed in here. The RDF, like I say, I'm really impressed with that. It's going really well. I haven't sort of looked in here for a couple of days, 3 days probably, but everything's good in here. The UV light seems to be keeping that drum nice and clean, and everything's working fine. Yeah, so nothing to report on the RDF really. Everything's going spot on. No complaints with that at all. The moving bed, this is all working well. I'll put a little bit more air in the pond and a little bit less in the moving bed, but everything in there is going well. That's going fine. I'm hoping with the temperatures not dropped drastically, I'm hoping we've kept a little bit of that bacteria alive in there this year, but it all depends what we've got to come. It's halfway through January now, so there's still quite a bit more cold weather to come. But I always like to see January out of the way, and you know spring is on the way. Pond temp, with the pond temp we've still got 8.3, so not bad at all. And that little heater's keeping this at about 10 or 11 degrees in here, so we don't get any damp or anything like that. That's all working well. The actual control box itself is spot on. That's giving no problems at all at the moment. That's working really well. Nothing to report on that one, but everything's going great. Great guns. I've got a little project, like I say, down the big shed, so I think what I'm going to do is go down there and get started on that. As you can see, I've had to have my big coat out with all this rain when I've had to do something outside, but apart from that everything is spot on. Everything's going really well in here, nothing to report. Okay, so down here in the big shed, I have actually got round to tidying all this side up now. Where that cupboard was in that corner, that's gone, and I've got a place for my mitre saw on there, tidied all that up. So you can see I've been busy. I've got all that tidied up. I've just now got this corner to do. That's where all the rubbish is getting dumped at the minute. So I've got that corner to do, but I'm not in a hurry to do that. I can do that anytime. I've got all my bits hung up in here now, and my pond vac and everything down there. So that's all well. There was something, this keeps bugging me really. I bought this, which is 1100 watt pressure pump. I bought this for the old RDF quite some time ago, and it's still in the box, still brand new. Now it keeps going through my mind, what would that go like on the new RDF? And I really might have a go at plumbing that to it and see what happens, see how it goes. I mean, it's working fine as it is at the minute, but I did find the receipt for that, and these are actually cheaper than the one we're buying that's on the new RDF. So it keeps going through my mind, what would that go like on the new RDF? I must have had it 4 or 5 months now, and it's still in the box, and every time I look at it I think, what would it perform like on the new RDF? So I just might connect that up and see how that works, because like I say, they are cheaper. They are cheaper than the pump that we are buying, the 260 watt pump, but that is 1100 watt. Now the switches that we've fitted to the RDF are rated up to 1600 watt, so we should be okay with that. So I just might, in the coming future, just try plumbing that to it and see what happens. I did put unions on the actual plumbing to the spray bar, so I can just undo the unions and then plumb that to the unions without too much trouble. We might just give that a go. Bit of an experiment and see what that goes like. But like I say, I did buy it for the original RDF, but never got round to putting it on. So I might have a go at that in the future, just to see how that goes. What I want to do is a little project I've got on, and I'm going to have a go at that now, just to see. I'll show you guys what I'm doing as we go along, but it's all about bending acrylic or bending the PP, which is what I really want to know. Can we bend it? So I've got that project we're going to get started on, and that'll give us something to do while there's not a lot of anything else going on at the moment. Okay guys, what you see here is a little project I'm undertaking. Basically what it is for bending acrylic, and what I want to know is, can I bend PP with it, which could come in very handy. Now I've seen them build these on YouTube. It's not my idea, it's not something I've come up with, and what I'm going to do is have a go at making one and just see how it works on the PP, which could come in very handy, bending the plastic. So I'm going to have a bash at making one. Basically what I've got is 2 foot by 2 foot by 18mm for the base, and I've got it was one piece of 2 foot by 2 foot of 12mm. What it is you have 2 pieces, so one will be fixed to the base, the other one will be hinged, and the fixed to the base you have a channel, an alley channel running up the centre, which has got to be cut to size obviously, and then there will be a hot wire that goes down the centre of this channel. Connect it up to a power source, and the wire will glow hot. You place your piece of whatever you're bending on the actual table itself, give it a while to warm up, and then you'll pick one side up like so, which will bend it, hopefully. That is sort of the principle of it. Now how well it'll work with PP I don't know, but it'll be quite handy to be able to bend acrylic as well. So that's what I'm having a go at making. I've never made one before, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but no doubt we shall find out as we go along. I'm now going to look at getting this side fixed to the base, and then I've got to hinge this side. I've got some hinges, I'm not quite sure which ones I'll use. I think I'll use smaller ones. So I've got some hinges, like I say, I've got my power source, and I've got my cable, I've got my wire, SWG wire, to go down the channel that should get hot, so I'm going to give it a go. We'll see what happens. Okay, what I'm going to do now I've got everything roughly where I want it, and I did take some off this channel, by the way. It was sort of a mil or two just higher than the wood, and I didn't like that because this is possibly going to get hot, and that might just mark the plastic when we lay it on if it's hotter. So I did take a little bit off that, so it's just a mere fraction below the wood now. So I've got that done. So what I'm going to do now is screw this half down. I shall drill holes, countersink them, and screw this down to the actual bed itself, and that'll be fixed permanent then. Then I can move on to weighing up where my screws have got to go for the wiring and that sort of thing. I'm not going to fix, I might fix a channel, but I'm not going to fix this half yet. I just want to make sure that I've got enough room this end to fit the springs and the alignment screw. I think I've got enough this end to put the screw in here for the wire. It's just going to be fixing the wire the other end. So that's what I'm going to be doing next, screwing this down. Okay, now I've got this side fixed down, countersunk all the screw heads so that they're all below the surface of the wood itself, so that the actual plastic can lay flat on there. So that is permanently fixed. Now I'm just going to drill probably 3 holes in this channel, and we're going to screw that down next. Right guys, That's, like I say, I've got the screws holding that side bed down. I've got the screws in the actual aluminium channel. That's all fixed down now. And I've also put the screw for the wire in the exact middle of this end of the channel, so that the wire will go down the dead centre of the channel, the wire that gets hot. So now I'm going to turn it around and we're going to have a look at fixing the other end. I hope you can see what I've done here. I've taken a groove out the actual board itself, and this is on the underside. This will actually be trapped between the bed and this the face of this board here. So this will be the other way up and then be screwed back down, and that is just so that most of these don't come so they can get far enough apart to reach from one end to the other. So what I'm going to do is run a cable on the underside of that board all the way along and out, and then I shall solder it onto the actual wire up the other end. So I'm going to turn this over and get this fitted now, and I'll show you exactly what I mean when it's in place. There's the job so far. If we look up the other end, I've actually got it connected to the actual heat wire. The cable runs underneath there and comes out here, and I've attached another wire to this end of the wire so that this can actually move up and down, because that spring is going to move backwards and forwards because the heat of that, it's going to expand. So this is to keep the wire taut, basically, that spring. So when it gets hot and expands, this will pull the wire through this screw. I've got a plain headed screw there that the wire can actually slip through, and then when it cools off it will move back again. So this wanted to be able to move, so that wire can obviously move up and down. So what I've got to do now, you'll have to excuse me, I've got a stinking cold at the minute, but what I've got to do now is I've got to fit the hinges to this so that we can lift it to bend our actual material of whatever we're bending. So I'm going to get the screws fixed to that now and get that fixed in. Okay, that's the second side hinged on. That just lifts up like so. You can bend it to sort of whatever angle you want. So now all it remains is to give it a run and see what happens. I did just plug this in, to be quite honest, and there's nothing. It's as dead as a dodo. Nothing happens at all. So that's going back. So I don't recommend them things. What I have found is my battery charger. I'm just going to put that on there, and we're going to see if we get any go at all. I'll connect that up. So I'll connect that to there, if it holds it. Big clamps they are. We'll put that one onto there. We'll put that one onto there. Just make sure they don't touch. Like so. That should have power going to it. We'll plug this in. And see what happens. Here we go. Well, it's on. Oh, I can see the spring coming back. I can see that moving back. That's moved back about 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, we've got heat. I can actually feel the heat coming from it. So we do have heat. Oh, and I can see it glowing red. It's now starting to glow red. I don't know whether you guys will pick that up. Let me just take you off the tripod and see if you can see this. But that is actually, I hope you can see it, I'm not quite sure on this screen, but that is actually glowing red. That's using the battery charger. So I'll pop you back on the tripod and we'll see if we can bend something while it's on. I found a little bit of perspex the other day, so we'll give it a try. I've got a small piece of acrylic, so we'll plonk it on there. Oh, that has actually got a scratch just there, so I'll move it up a bit. We'll put it on there and we'll see what happens. Give it a few minutes and see if we can bend it. It's glowing nice and red, that wire is. Feel the heat coming off it. Yeah, all looks good. I suppose you keep keep trying it to see if we're doing any good. See when it's got to be bent. Give it time to warm the acrylic up. Just keep checking it. That has come out there over 1/4 of an inch now. That spring has taken that slack up. So that's brilliant. I don't want to leave it too long and melt the perspex, that's the thing. But I think it's nearly there. I think we're not far off there. Will it go? Shall we see? Bend it up. I'll switch that off. Switch the heat off. Just hold it there. Just give it time to cool down. Just give it a blow. I think actually I've left it too long. I don't know. But we shall see. See how it's gone any second. Oh, we've got it bent. Ha! Look at that. Well, that's brilliant. No bubbles, no melting of the acrylic. That is spot on. I hope you guys can, that camera will pick this up, but spot on. Now the big question will be, can we bend polypropylene with it? But that is excellent. So I found a piece of 6mm, so we'll switch it on. This is the thicker stuff as well, so this will give it a test. See if we can bend this, but this is the thicker stuff, so I was hoping to find a bit of 5mm, but I can't find any. So I found an old piece of 6mm, so we'll see how this gets on. I would imagine we've got to turn this over, to be honest. Give it a chance to warm up, so it might take a bit longer. And obviously it's not a full sheet that goes right across, it's only a little bit. But it'll give us some idea of what it'll actually do, whether this polypropylene will bend or not. So what I want to do is just spin that over, make sure I've got it in the same place, keep the heat coming on it, just hold it down, keep it warm so we get it warmed up. So bear with me, but this is working really well. There's plenty of heat coming off there. But it's obviously going to take longer because it's thicker than that acrylic and a bit tougher as well. It's totally different stuff. But it will be nice to know whether we can bend the polypropylene. We'll put it back the other way. Doesn't feel bendy at the moment. But like I say, it's not my doing. It was, I saw it on YouTube. I got it off YouTube. So none of it's my idea. I just thought I'd like to build one. Yeah, this is taking quite a bit longer than the, well, it's thicker anyway. I think that's only about 4mm. This is 6, so it's going to take longer, obviously. I think we should nearly be there. Let's give it a go. Here we go. Now this will actually want taking further. I'll just switch that off, because it does spring back, this polypropylene. So I'll just take it a bit further than we want, give it a chance to cool. Okay, well, it's bent it. There's a little ripple down there. Whether I could have avoided that by turning it again, I don't know. That black bit there is just a mark I made, so I knew when I turned it over which would be the middle of it. So it's bent it right on where I wanted to bend it, spot on, right in the middle. But yeah, it's actually bent it, and that's the 6mm. That's great stuff. So now I'll just finish it off. I'll make 2 proper clamps so that I can just pop these on and use it whenever I want. I want to put a bit down this side, actually, down there, so that I can actually slot this up to it to keep everything square. If I've got a bigger sheet or if I've got a long piece, I want to fit a bit on there, just a piece of wood or something, just to make sure that it's dead square when I put this on. Well pleased with that. Great stuff. It works. Well, here I am sat at my office desk, and I just happened to look out the window, and this is what sat on my fence. Now I'm not sure, some of you might be able to tell me, is it a sparrowhawk? but I'm not sure. I don't think it's a falcon, but I don't really know. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble keeping the camera still. But it's sat on the garden fence, and if I look around there's not a bird in sight anywhere. But some of you might know. Drop it in the comments. Is it a sparrowhawk? I really don't know. Just a quick look at the actual pre-filter itself, the sieve. That's working well. I've just took the top off that. I'll give that a little clean out today. But that's all running fine. No problems there. What I can do is actually, while we're over here, I'll just lift the top up on my plants and see how they're wintering, which they don't look too bad at all. The actual iris is still growing. I haven't transplanted anything yet, but everything looks okay in there. They're all still surviving. A little bit of dead stuff. Just probably wants to clear out on these. But it's winter, so you expect them to die off a little bit. I thought they'd have died back more than they have done actually. But everything in there is looking good. The grasses are looking exceptionally good. They're looking nice and green. So no problems with them. So let's hope we've saved a few of them through the winter and we can get them back in the pond in the summer. So all's good in there. Like I say, in the pond there's not a lot happening there at the moment. They're all closed down. I do lift the covers when we've got no wind. It's quite windy again today and they're forecasting more. But I do lift it and just chuck a couple of handfuls of food in there a day. It's still above 8 degrees. So they can still feed a little bit. Anything below 8 I'll stop feeding, but they're still having a little bit at the moment. Well guys, from a cold and windy but dry South Lincolnshire, all that's left to say is thanks for watching. You all take care, and as always, happy ponding.